Hello everyone, here is the data set number 2 for Nursing 330. I have changed things up just a little bit for this data set, but nonetheless the same. It'll be a little less tedious as far as inputting the actual formulas themselves, and more about making sure you understand the question and putting it in, so the calculators will do everything for you. So let's jump right in and get going. As always, this question was one that was on the exam, and we wanted to know, suppose a researcher is interested in a new treatment plan for increasing CD4 count in immune-compromised patients with HIV. In order to investigate the new drug, the researcher grants a group of 48 individuals with a mean CD4 count of 300 cells per milliliter after treatment with a standard deviation of 24.6, the test hypothesis that the mean CD4 count has increased above the goal of 280 cells per milliliter. Write out your hypothesis and correctly interpret your p-value. So for this, what I've done for this kind of problem here is, in the yellow cells here, I just want you to input the values that are needed there. So for this one, I want you to put your null hypothesis, your HO. So your null hypothesis in this case is 280. Our x bar, our mean of the individuals, is going to be 300. We're going to put an alpha level of 0.01. Our n in this case is 48 individuals, and our standard deviation is 24.6. Once you pop that all in, you'll see in the green box below, it calculates your standard error, your z-score, and then your p-value associated with your z-score. So after that, we can go down to the little box here, and it says, based on the information above, do you, and there'll be a little drop-down box, it's either accept or reject the null hypothesis. Well, when you look at your p-value, our p-value is way less than the alpha that we set it at, so we're going to reject the null hypothesis in this situation, and then we're going to also come down to this drop box and choose our significance level, and for this it's going to be highly significant. If you're not familiar with the significant levels, please look at that on page 204 and it'll break it down there for you. So you'll have 3 questions like this in the tabs: hypothesis 1, hypothesis 2, and hypothesis 3. That's where you will find this type of formula. Make sure you input the correct numbers in the right cells and pop it out, and then you'll either reject the null hypothesis or accept it. For the second demo, we have another question where we're going to be using a binomial distribution equation. And so this one, researchers are concerned about the prevalence of tuberculosis in developing country rising over the years despite the attempts of international organizations to thwart the disease. Suppose the prevalence of TB in the population is reported to be 24%. Assume a sample of 16 participants was selected. So now out of this, we want to, the question is going to state, assume that 7 of the respondents are TB positive. What is the probability associated with this result? So this one, all you have to do is input your n, which is 16 people. Your x is you're trying to find out of those 16 how many, 7 of them were TB positive, so 7. Your p is 0.24, the probability, and when you type all that in, you get your answer, and the p equals x. This actually, that was just copied over. This should be 7. P equals x equals 7 is there's a 4% chance of that happening. This little guy right above it in this box is the binomial distribution of x and p, 0 or 1. This is the actual equation for figuring out binomial distribution. So if you wanted to, in the cell I have equals binomial distributions, and it's tied to these cells. So as you put different numbers in these cells, you will get the binomial distribution. At the very end, you either put a 0 or a 1. A 0 will mean if you're finding out that exact probability of that number, so in this case 7, but if you wanted to know the cumulative probability, so say you wanted to know what is the probability of selecting between 0 and 7 of the 16, you just change that 0 to a 1, hit enter, and there would be a 97.8% chance of of finding between 0 and 7. So it's the cumulative probability if you put 1 in at the end. But for this one, we just wanted 0. So that is that one. On the next one, I did a normal distribution. So this is actually one that you will be calculating here. Cells are blank. I just wanted to walk you through it. So you will read the question, A and B. So this box will contain the information for A. B, this box is where you'll put the information for B. Once you put your x, your mu, and your standard deviation in these boxes, you will get numbers that generate the probability of 32 and 36, and then I have it calculating to figure out the in-between for you. So this one's just making sure you put the right numbers in the right boxes. Again, here is the normal distribution equation that you would put in for Excel. So you would just put equals the normal distribution of x mu and the standard deviation sigma, and then 1 once again will come back with either a cumulative probability, or you put 0 in for false probability. And if you ever want to read more about it, all you have to do is type the equation in, and as you type it in, you go to your normal distribution, and you can read right here x means standard deviation and cumulative or not, and it'll tell you what they want you to put in there for that information. So that is a very quick demo. But once again, it's not nearly as tedious as typing in the equation. I've provided the information for you, but more or less putting in the correct numbers in the right boxes and then seeing how the calculator gives you the answer. That is the one for binomial distribution 1. Here it is for your first one. The only one I wanted to actually go ahead and show you again was on this one, on binomial 3 tab at the very bottom, the third one. I want you to find your n and p, and then I want you to actually calculate the total probability for each individual amount. So there's 6 samples, so I want you to calculate the probability of 0 to 6 for each one. So you'll have to put your n and p in there, and then it should populate for you. And then at the very bottom under the total, this one should equal 1, right? Everything we've been learning about should equal 1. So once you type all your n and p and get your values here, this should equal 1. If it doesn't, then something went wrong, and you'll have to figure that out. But once again, this is, I want you to calculate for all of them. Alright, that's about it. I don't have anything more to show you. It's kind of quick and easy. It shouldn't be too hard to accomplish this and get it done. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out and ask me, and I'll talk to you all later.